Episode 234, try number 2. For our post-listening audience, you get the polished version. For our live listeners, thank you for joining the second stream. That was weird. Anyone who's in tech knows that sometimes weird things happen. We did a few really just refreshes and everything worked. So perfect. I'm here with Josh and Nick. And this show, as always, is presented by all three of us tonight. TitanDiscGolf.com. Exclusive stamps, free shipping over $75, competitive pricing. They've got a lot of plastic there, over 35,000 disc selection. And the fun fact, unless they've changed things, that whole inventory, guys, is not in stores. Like, that's their online store. So you can only get it there. If it's on there, no one's buying it in the store. So go check it out and use the code STAGGEREDSTANCE. By raise of hands to our listeners, how many have purchased something from TitanDiscGolf.com? Cool, everyone's raising their hands. I can see them all now. But seriously, we really love the fact that TitanDiscGolf.com was down to sponsor and present this show for the full year. And we're stoked to talk about them as much as possible. Like we said, we wear this hat everywhere. We talk about them as much as possible. There you go. People in the chat saying yes, yes. So thank you guys for that. We're going to do something special, guys. Some point here, we're going to hide like Easter egg hunt on the website. And whoever finds it gets it for free. I'm talking to Matt Schlabach about how to do that. So be on the lookout for that. Hey, what's up, guys?
How is it going?
What up, what up, what up?
Like Todd in the chat said we're late for our tea time, so we deserve a penalty. But, you know.
What is a penalty for us? It's like muted microphones?
We have to stay on longer?
Yeah. Or we have to stay on longer.
No, that's not a penalty. That's a penalty for everyone else. We, even though we have lives that we like to get to, the truth is we have no problem talking. So we could probably go to
eat the hot chip, someone said.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. That was a good episode. No. Someone go back and find
Ben has to eat the hot chip. Last one in his bedroom studio.
Hot chip.
Yeah, if anything, Ben was late, so he's definitely got to eat the hot chip.
Well, I was not late. It sounds like you guys just started up.
He's a married man, so.
Well, Ben, we had a weird thing. Said we were connected in streaming, but it was just black, so we had to try again. So
here we are, take two.
But apparently,
once I showed up,
Ben, you were just at League, kind of like a last League hurrah before a 2-month tour. You can talk about that later, but you sent me a text. You said, what did you send me mid League? You said,
I said, Matt, I'm gonna miss you so much. Oh wait, that was a different text.
And then I came out, found you, and gave you a big hug.
It was Hunter. Yep. AKA Matt's son.
Always talk about
in League today.
He aced. So he goes out and aces, Nick. And what hole would you want to ace during a league? If they have a CTP hole with cash money on it, you want to ace that hole.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. So congrats to Hunter.
So he got the A spot and the CTP.
He's like just going home rich, boys.
Yeah, what's he going to do with all that cash?
Like, he's going to have to claim down his taxes.
He's
That's
15.
How much money he's about to make tonight.
So what he does, Nick, he's already figuring out the math. He's like, if I keep going at this rate, and this is what he was doing like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, then you'll be rich, but you're not going to keep going at that rate. And he's like, Dad, you're wrong. And now he just keeps doing things like this. So at that rate, he'll be a pro, right? Just a league pro. No, he saves it up. He buys disc golf trading cards. He enters into more leagues, and he bought his mom. He helped buy his mom a nice present for her birthday. So like he's trying.
Very nice.
There you go. So congrats to him. I had to say it because that's pretty cool for him.
Shout out Hunter. Yeah, it was awesome.
And then I watch him. And then I watch him on hole. I think it's 9, Ben. It's the one up near Jason's house, right? 9. He throws backhand Mako, like hyzer flip, nearly aces 9, 302 feet backhand Mako. I'm just
today. You saw that?
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're playing so good.
Yeah.
You were out there?
Dude, I walked over and looked for you, but you weren't on the UDisc score. I didn't see your name, and I couldn't figure out where you were.
Spoony Pockets. That's my alias.
Oh, well, I just missed it.
That's my alias.
I know it is, but I just missed it. So how did it finish tonight? Yeah. Hunter got...
Honestly, oh, yeah.
Third best score, but 4th place. He was 1 out of 2nd, 2 out of 1st. Good for them.
And he cashed.
And he cashed. So, yeah, cash, CTP, ace. I got to... Dad tax that maybe. Okay. But all right. So What, do we not have sound? I just see someone in the chat. You guys see that? Podcasts are better with sound, fellas.
I think
I
we
don't
have
know.
sound.
Anybody
I
else
think
saying there's
Chad
no
is
sound?
saying-
No, everyone else is fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Someone else said,
Brent,
"I hear
with
you
your
fine."
passive
I hear you
aggressive
fine.
comment. It's
Hey,
you,
hey,
Brent.
No,
You
listen.
turn us up.
Brent didn't say he couldn't hear us. He was just stating a fact. It's just like a statement. It's like, it's true. Podcasts are better
is
with
true.
sound. So I would agree
Okay.
with Brent. Hey, and then I do not play disc golf very much. And I don't know if I think that's been public knowledge, so I'm not outing myself. I've played a lot in my life, but in the last years, not a ton. And I played a full round with a bunch of guys, including a few of you on here on Saturday. And my arm is so sore. And
Falling off.
my throwing side neck and everything, I'm falling apart. But I had a good time. It's 78 degrees in Massachusetts on Saturday.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
That's what it's like for the average person who doesn't run all the time. They go out and then they feel like they're falling apart. So it's just different muscle groups.
I understand. I just don't work it out enough. But hey, for not playing very often, I definitely played at a mid to low tier am, but I was happy with myself. I threw a lot of straight shots.
How many times did you make Ben say, Josh?
Well, Ben yells at it anyway.
A
It's like
lot.
how good a throw
Josh
was.
just kept throwing straight.
He's a straight shooter.
At Maple
yeah.
Hill, that's what you have to do. And Josh just kept throwing straight.
I was tied
awesome.
with everybody through 9 or 10 holes, and then
This is a fun game, Nick.
three putted.
Between
Yeah.
Ben, Josh, me, the two charity auction winners that got to come out and play with us. We'll talk about that a little bit too. Shout out to Flying Saucers Disc Golf, Arnold, for winning that auction for Paul Macbeth Foundation. But Nick, out of the group, we played Old Glory.
Ooh.
Who's
Very
your?
nice.
What are the odds? Who's your bets for who took it down?
Well, I just told you it wasn't me, so you got
Oh,
1
okay.
and 4.
Just told
I'm
you it
including
was-
Arnold and his friend in this.
Arnold joined after the round. So the two
Okay.
guys from down near UMass Amherst.
Kim and
Okay.
Been playing
Kim and
since COVID.
Been playing since COVID. Okay, one of them took it down with Ben following close behind. That's my guess.
Went. Ben,
What do we got?
what place did you get?
Second to Stat Graham.
Instagram.
I took it down, Nick, and
Nice.
I only do it because Ben's there. I'm not that good, but when Ben's there, I'm inspired to beat him, and he's tries
yeah.
so hard to beat me, and it gets in his head.
I try.
What
That's
did you
my
shoot? Do you
weakness.
remember?
I think I shot even on Old
We
Glory.
both shot. Yeah, not great.
Gotcha.
It wasn't an awesome. Well, the weather was actually great, but it was a little windy, so it was tough. You get up to hole 8, just things were just it was windy, but it was a good, awesome time. And then we had
Very
barbecue. Maple Hill has a restaurant now that's on site with a actual commercial kitchen, the whole thing. He makes barbecue. It's pretty good. So good time with Arnold, Nick, and Cameron. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining us on that awesome day. Hope to do it again sometime. Appreciate you guys. Okay, well, tonight we've got Ganon Buhr that we'll be talking to, and you'll say he's a regular, but we're going to talk to him why it took so long to get his first win of the season. We're going to talk to Holyn Handley
five events.
Holyn Handley about her dominance. We did the name of the show. If it stays this forever, I don't know, but forerunner for this season, forerunner. And then Cadence Burge. She's definitely the popped off for sure. But we're going to ask her if that's not pop off, if that's just who she is. I picked her earlier this season as a pop player, and it was her worst event of the season, and she knew it, and she said it. She wrote a whole post. She's like, this was the horror. I'm like, I trusted in you. And now every other event, she's just killing it.
Killing it.
So I'm not out of not choosing her. I just got to figure out if she's a pop player now or a lock player. So anyways, let's go through a little bit of the event. And by that, I mean, Josh, do you just want to tell us how many rounds were there at this event? What was some of the storyline?
Yeah, I don't have a full rundown as good as our past, like Evan, but just a few things. So yeah, Kansas City Wide Open, that name itself, right, has actually a lot of history. But that event's moved around and has been on and off the Pro Tour back, which is awesome. Wait, hold on. Okay. I was literally pulling a blank on the name of the course. Bad Rock Creek Disc Golf Course, which maybe we can debate this if we want to. I would say not right now, but for the most part, everything I'm hearing from players is they love the course. And everybody might have some critiques on a hole or two or three, of course. They probably should. But really overall resounding positive feedback, at least from the players that are voicing it publicly. And in weather, round 3 came in and disrupted Impio. And they only played 9 holes on the last day.
Well, some of them only played 9 holes.
Well, they got credit for 9 holes, right? Is that how I should say it?
Yeah, I'm just saying some players I'm seeing in social media, they're all bummed. Like some players are like, maybe it's Braden. Oh, I shot 6 down. I was going to be 7 down on hole 18. I was going to get that birdie, but then wipe it away at a 3-down round, And
it's funny because if you look in PDGA Live, it appears that they just like populated. Everybody.
Yeah,
and I was
barred.
If you look at that and you don't have the narrative because it's not published on that page anywhere, you'd be like, what the? Like everybody just
like, dang.
Par. But the story, at least for Impio, and we'll cover FPO briefly too, is Ganon Buhr outshoots the field by, was it like 6 strokes was the next closest? And then the rest on the lead
more or
card
less
were like
doubled everybody.
7, practically doubled everybody from like 7 to 14 strokes. And then held on to it. So then you're going into, well, they didn't know at the time because there were weather delays. But at the time they made the decision to actually start the round, it's like, oh, I got a 7-stroke lead with 9 holes to play. So kind of interesting how that unfolded. And it's one of those like counterfactuals because Gannon started out really slow. And Ricky and Paul and others, like maybe it would have cinched up. But who in the world knows? Like Gannon knew we can ask him. He knew he had 7 strokes with 9 holes. So it's like kind of impossible to know how it might have played out.
But you can at least say, and I'm sure he'll say, he was not happy with his play, and that's not how he wanted it to go.
No, right. I mean, yeah, no matter what, he's not trying to throw a bogey and a double bogey. So,
yes.
Right. But what I'm saying is even his own mental state, like even he may not be able to, concretely answer the difference, right? It's like, well, what would have happened, right? If it was a different situation. Regardless, you earn all the strokes. He earned them, right? So you bank them, you hold on, and he still won by 4. So I'm not really saying it was close. I'm just saying with 9 holes left, right? A 4-stroke lead. It is a different narrative, right? Because then it only takes another double bogey and then a birdie from someone else to cinch it up. But all theoretical. We, of course, can talk and debate around whether we like the way that's handled. For the most part, I think your hand's kind of forced with weather. But there are some alternatives out there. But anyway, 9 holes. FPO, we already said who won. They played all 18. So they had a full 3-round tournament. Holyn Handley also with the fairly wire-to-wire win. 2 strokes at the end, so we want to talk to Cadence about that exciting play, but in reality, Holyn pretty much had it on lockdown. I mean, there's other things for us to talk about, but I'll just open it up and say we kind of had a different commentators on live coverage. We have weather, location, new course, not new, but new to this level on the Pro Tour. Any just reactions from anybody? Something that stood out to you?
The course was fun to watch. We were just talking about this pre-show. I think from what I feel like I heard, I had higher expectations of it, but at the same time, I also had no expectations of it because I'd never seen coverage there before. So kind of going into it, for some odd reason, I just felt like I was about to see a really heavily wooded course with almost like a miniature Northwoods Black. No idea if that's how someone described it to me one time or if I'm just completely out of thin air, like making up a course in my head. Anyways, obviously completely opposite of that. Hole 1 was really cool. I understand now why Matt had asked Paul Krantz the question of, are you going to go for this? That was actually really cool to see. Calvin almost aced it in the Jomas practice round. Casey White and Zach Melton actually threw it in on round 1 for a 2. It was actually, I thought that hole was really cool. There were some holes where it almost felt a little repetitive of you have a really skinny gap to get off the tee. And then it's wide open. So hit the first 150 feet. And then after that, as long as you're on somewhat of the right angle, you're going to have a pretty good putt at it or, good next shot. But there was also some really, really good holes where there was a specific landing zone in the woods. And then they had to get around trees, whatever, and get up to the basket. I thought that was cool. One of the holes, a lot of people were throwing kind of a spike hyzer for their upshots. I know Gannon had done a pretty awesome flex forehand, I think almost every round. And then Matt, you and I were just talking about it. The shot that Missy Gannon had on that par three on the back nine over the water, I thought that was an awesome hole. That's a hole that could be on any disc golf pro tour course.
It's not as easy as they made it look.
No,
dude. I've tried that hole 5 years ago, and I was like, oh, it's a forehand hole, but it's not real. I mean, kind of, but then you're just bailing out most often. So then you got to trust your backhand. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. So all in all, I did very much enjoy it. It created a fun tournament. It created a battle coming down the stretch on the FPO side. It did create, even though it was a final 9 for the MPO, those first 3 holes kind of made it feel like, hey, do Paul and Ricky really actually have a chance in this one right now? So it was sweet.
It was built for the guy in our green room. Let's bring him in.
Exactly.
Welcoming to the show, Ganon Buhr. Let me double check. I got audio good. All right, cool. What up, man? 3-time for KC Wide Open, Kansas City Wide Open, not the KC White. This is the Kansas City Wide Open. Gannon, thank you for joining, dude. Took you a few events, but you got your first win of the season under your belt. What is it like, man? Does it feel like you're back like old school? Like, oh, that's what it feels like. Like, what was it like? Happy, satisfied, relieved, what?
Yeah, I think it was the first event all year where I really felt like everything in my game was pretty solid. Nothing was going to be like a shank or anything. So I could play pretty conservative in terms of I don't know, I didn't get super aggressive on a lot of the par fours, it felt like, but I was able to get the scores, obviously. And I mean, yeah, when the throwing is good, it makes the game pretty easy. I think I only missed 1 circle 1 putt for the entire event, and that was on the first hole of the final 9. So putting was good. I mean, I made the putts when I had to, and sprinkled in a few circle 2s from there.
Yeah, you're right, man. I think I would have felt like I would have been feeling crazy as a fan if you were missing putts in the final 9, because it would have been a bad combo. So you shredded though. The first round you were nearly double the whole field. Is that right? Like, it was pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
So everything was going well. Was it the weather and just the way you were feeling? Just a combination of everything?
I mean, my knee was feeling a lot better than it had in the past, like the last couple weeks. Obviously, I had that little small injury, and so I was able to trust my forehand a bit more, which out here it's very important to have a strong forehand because there's a lot of punching gaps that you have to hit, and then a lot of the approaches into the green are forehand. So having that was kind of like a safety blanket. If I felt like my backhand was gonna, miss the gap, I would just throw a forehand and get through.
Yeah. So then you go into round 2, and then you're not sure, and you're still holding a solid lead. You come out of it, eagling the last hole, which watching on coverage, we're jumping way down to the end of round 2, hole 18, getting over that hill with the long turn because you had to turn. Did you watch coverage there? Did you get lucky through the right side trees, and you try to do that? Or was that you've done that a lot? I don't, obviously I can't do that shot. So how'd that, it obviously worked out well, but tell us about that.
Yeah, that was kind of a game time decision. I saw Ricky right before me put it pretty far down there, and I was like, well, there wasn't too much wind, so I thought I could control it with how good I was throwing that weekend. And yeah, it did get a little lucky through the trees, but my game plan there was kind of if I hit the trees, it's still a birdie, and if I get through, I'll have a chance for eagle. Yeah,
well, it worked out. You got the eagle, which realistically, even with Ricky getting it and Paul birdieing, you kept your 7-stroke lead, or was that's what you started the round with, I think. So 7 strokes.
Yeah, I was up 6, then made it to 7 after that round.
Right. So then you find out you're going into a final 9. I mean, that was a long day probably. And maybe not as long for some of the other players. Other players had it longer than you possibly because you were already planning an afternoon round. They kept getting the delays, the horns and all that. But long story short, you get told or notified, is that accurate, that, hey, you're only doing 9 before your round started?
Yeah, the Pro Tour sent out an email saying that it's going to be cut to 9 holes. And so I was pretty happy that was the case. I mean, obviously I wanted to play some disc golf, but even if the round got canceled, I would have been fine with it. I think it's safe to say I probably would have won, hopefully, if there was 18 holes anyway. obviously had a rough start to that final 9, but I brought it back, birding like 4 of the last 5. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to have as much disc golf as we could get in.
Yeah. So you come out, and we were talking about this right before you joined the green room, and things were not going perfect. I know you're probably moving on past that. You said, let's focus on the good stuff. I won the event, and a lot of things were going right. But you started out, it was exciting for the fans. We've talked about this with you before. Sometimes, Gannon, you're so good that people complain it's boring, right? And it's a different kind of excitement. But so it was a different kind of excitement getting brought to people where they're like, did you feel that in the audience or the fans, the gallery at all, that people were kind of like, oh, maybe Paul or Ricky takes down Gannon? Did you feel that at all, or were you deaf to that?
So I'm not gonna lie. Once the lead was cut to 3 after 3 holes, I honestly didn't think I was gonna win. At that point, so I'd woken up that day feeling horrible. I caught some type of sickness, and if you know, playing sick or playing with like no sleep, it's just pretty much you can aim where you want, but the disc is not going to go there. And so all I had to do was get away from the artificial OB. Once I kind of got in the woods, I almost felt more comfortable, because anytime I had like artificial OB, I almost just like felt like I knew it was going to go out of bounds because I had no control over my shots. Yeah, so that was kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's the most sick I've probably been in 4 years. But I'm obviously happy to come through with the win and be here tonight. But yeah, I mean, I could feel the energy, like when Paul and Ricky were throwing some decent shots or even getting a few good breaks. It kind of just felt like, oh dang, it's just they're gonna win now.
Anyways, congratulations. That's some of the interesting things that I thought. There's a lot more than that, but I'll toss it over. Josh, Nick, Ben.
I have kind of one basic question. Final 9, hole 6. You threw a forehand, and I can't remember if it was from a knee or not. I want to say it was from a knee.
Oh, yes. Let's replay that shot.
I'm just going to straight up ask it. Was that the most lucky shot in the world, or did you peer a gap that we could not see off of the camera? Like from the camera view that we had, dude, not going to lie, it looked like you were inside, and then you made it all the way to it was sick. Don't get me wrong, it was a sick shot.
Yeah.
Like, tell us about that, I guess.
Yeah, so that was a perfect shot. That was literally within a foot of where I wanted to throw it the entire flight path.
Gotcha.
And that was as good as I possibly could have thrown it. So it's tough with the camera angle, but you can't tell. If the camera is about 40 more feet to the right, you're basically looking straight down the tunnel at the basket.
Okay.
But because of where the camera was at, it made it look like the tunnel was to the right, which that's nothing.
Yes.
You're basically throwing to the other hole's tee pad. You're 70 feet with no look over there, where it makes it look like the tunnel is. The catch cam showed it a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, people were kind of hooting and hollering right as it left my hand because they saw it flexing perfectly down the tunnel. So it was kind of funny. I saw a bunch of comments like, dude, like, just gonna get so lucky. Every shot that shot in 6 was so unbelievably lucky. Luckily, I had a couple people back me up in the comments like, dude, I was there and it was pure. So
okay, the cameras did you dirty. Then you're gonna talk to the DGPT about that. If you're getting death threats, it's because of the DGPT's camera work. But no, honestly,
on that same thing though, on that same hole before you move off, Ezra Aderhold, did he have a similar? I know he was a little closer towards the woods, but did he have a similar lie? And was he trying to execute more or less the same type of shot you just did?
Yeah, he was trying to throw the same shot and he threw it too wide. You have to cut that corner so tight from where we were at. Because it's not like too far of a shot. That's probably only like 310 out maybe. Mm-hmm. So I threw my driver, my DD3. So typically I wouldn't throw that type of a disc from that distance, but to get the shape of flight I needed. And it had to initially go fast to beat the corner, because if I threw something too slow, I would hit the inside corner. And then it had to obviously have a little bit of stability at the end to kind of fight back and get that fade and that skip. Yeah. And that last tree, I mean, I don't really know if it really hurt or helped anything. It was probably going to end up about 25 feet anyway.
So that was kind of, I think you threw first on that out shot, correct?
I don't know.
Do you remember?
I definitely threw before like Paul did.
Okay, so that's kind of where this is going to go. Is the same thing happened on hole 2 where you hit the first tree, got up, and then you actually big putted Paul on that hole. Ricky made a big putt, but that was for par. You were putting for par from 35, 40, 45 feet. make the putt, awesome elevated basket, big tailwind, it dropped down as a sweet putt, and then Paul goes and misses his. Now, same thing happens on hole 6. You get to throw first. You guys are in, I don't want to say similar positions. I think he was a little bit longer, but like more left.
He was like shorter and more left. So Paul didn't have a single gap.
Yeah. That's
He
what
had
I
a
mean.
gap that
He was going
maybe-
forehand roller.
Yeah. He had a gap that was maybe like 3 or 4 feet wide, about I don't know, 80 feet in front of him. He could have hit, which I feel like if I was in his position, I would have done that, and maybe would have had a different outcome. It probably had a higher risk, higher reward. I think the forehand roller was actually a pretty safe play if he just misses the first tree. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that were like interesting to me that Paul made during that final round. I mean,
Elaborate.
Yeah, so like when he was only down 3, we're going to hole 4. He has like a fairly open putt. I feel like maybe a little obstructed in the woods from like 50 feet, and he just lays it up. And I was like, that's just not very Macbeth-like. I feel like he'd want to take advantage of that moment. I know for myself, no matter what, I'm going for that. There's not enough holes left. And he actually gave me a chance to make a putt. Same thing on hole 6. After he had hit that first tree, he kind of just pitched up. It looked like he basically accepted defeat at that point. He could have like hacked a forehand roller through the woods to try to save the par, but he kind of just pitched out for the bogey. I think he's probably just trying to play for position at that point.
Yeah, it's funny we're saying that about Macbeth, who normally we've seen in the past. Obviously, like hitting that putt on hole 4, had he not laid it up, let's say he hits that putt, cuts the lead down to 2 now, and then you kind of feel like all the momentum swing, the crowd might be behind him at this point. They want to see kind of like that big comeback. So it definitely was rare. I know Brian and Charlie were both saying, oh, maybe Macbeth's kind of thinking about match play. And I'm like, thinking in my head, there's only 4 or 5 more holes. There's not really enough to, yeah, exactly. Especially because you started out in kind of, especially this weekend, in a fluky nature of, the first round, would you go like 6 for 6 to start? The second round, you're 4 through 6. And then the third round, you're 3 up through 4. And it was like, this isn't Gannon. And so we know that more than likely you are probably going to wake up during this final 9, which you did. You ended up, obviously shooting extremely well those last 4 or 5 holes. So it was definitely kind of weird seeing that out of Paul. But at the same time, a third place finish ain't the worst thing in the world. Everyone would love a third place finish on the Pro Tour.
Yeah. Because like in my head, like hole 7's a hole that can be double bogeyed so easily. If I pull my shot inside, kick left, there's really not many gaps over there, and it'd be a tough scramble. And if he hacks one through the woods and he can only be back 4, if he birdies that hole, he's only back 1. I mean, like, I guess I don't know, it's just interesting because I feel like he usually has that like win or nothing mentality. And I've definitely reached that point a little bit too. Like, if I don't win, I don't really care. Like, I mean, obviously, no matter what, I try to finish as high as possible because I know how important it is just to be known as a consistent player. And I think it, not only that, but it also tests your mental strength. I think it's good to build those. It's almost like mental reps, if you're, just having to be put in those situations and trying to execute, even if it doesn't ever work. You'll probably feel better in the higher pressure situations. So, yeah, I mean, if I was in that, I'd be running everything. It was a little surprising because I felt like there wasn't that much danger.
Yeah, it's different. You're playing a final 9, but it's not like a normal final 9 where the worst you can get is 4th place, right? Like you saw Ezra, he dropped all the way down to 11th place. And so there's obviously a lot of danger that goes into it, and there's a lot of movement that can go into this as well. But it's also one of those things where it's hindsight 2020, right? He lays it up and maybe he thinks you're running that putt. Maybe you hit the front of the rim and you roll all the way down. It's an elevated basket. It looks like a very, very sloped green. So hindsight 2020, he maybe made the right play, right? Or maybe made the wrong play. We can look at it now, talk about it, and think this is what he should have done, but who knows? Anyways, that's what I got so far. Josh?
No, I mean, today's only Monday. Are you recovering, Gannon? You're feeling all right?
I mean, like I said, it's probably the most sick I've been in like 4 years. So luckily we have an off week before the major, so I'm 100% sure I'll be fine for that. But yeah, it's kind of brutal. I have like a pretty bad fever and just really bad aches right now. So I'm kind of just laying low. I honestly have been so lazy today just because I've had no energy. But I think my body overall is feeling better other than the sickness. I think my knee's feeling great. My knee's feeling way better than it was. and there's no other issues right now. And so I think with my play, getting better every single week, and it finally feels like I'm dialed in. I think I'm ready for the rest of the season to get going. I think once I kind of let the gates open with that first win, I think I'll be able to string together some and hopefully just play really good the rest of the season, because I know a lot of these tournaments coming up. I mean, I feel pretty good about most events, but there's definitely some tournaments more than others that I know I can win for sure. And Champions Cup being at the OTB course is one of them. So it fits my play style very great, and yeah, I'm looking for some revenge on last year.
Well, you're no slouch. Last 4 events: fifth place, third place, second place, first place. So you went 3, 2, 1 the last 3. So
yeah,
there you go.
It's been a weird season just because I went from obviously I had one of my goals this year was to not ever miss top 10, and I missed it at Supreme Flight, so that hurt a lot. And fifth at Waco was decent, but I never really had a chance to win that tournament. And Austin, where I was making a charge, I really felt like I should have won that tournament. It was just kind of a weird start to the season. And at Music City, I started off that final round with a heater, kind of was out of contention, but brought myself back into a chance to win. Through Music City, I was leading the points for Pro Tour points. So, I was still somehow the most consistent player on tour, even though I wasn't really playing up to my standards, it felt like. So now to kind of have that in control, the points, obviously the world ranking, got my first win of the season. I just it's a big weight lifted off the shoulders. A lot of people might look at it like, they expect me to win a lot more. But as the player, even though I won, 9 times last season, there's still so much pressure this season. Just because there's so many expectations that I have to live up to, it feels like. So to get that first one, it just feels like a big weight off the shoulders. I can kind of play more free now.
Well, congratulations on that. You are, a lot of people picked you on our pop drop lock, 2 lock, which isn't unusual, but you helped people get a big set of points out of that. And you're like, yeah, I helped them. But that's another interesting thing. Before we let you go, sports betting, disc golf. It's been a thing here and there, dabbled. It kind of came out officially and was announced again. How do you feel about that as a player? I know you can't participate. There's rules against that. But what is that? What is that like? Knowing that people are actually earning cash money on your play or lack of play.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it can only grow the sport. Honestly, it's gonna get people more involved into it. And I think you can actually, grow your fan base. It could also hurt your fan base, but it could grow it. And I think, the fans are going to get more into it, and that's just going to drive more sales for the Pro Tour, hopefully.
Yeah, this final 9, everyone's in, easy win. Gannon chokes it out. You didn't. Then you lose a lot of fans. You just lost me 10 grand.
Oh, come on, Gannon. I mean, that's a legit thing. Maybe someone's like, oh, I'm betting, Macbeth is going to come back and win this. And they could win a bunch of money. So, I mean, it's pretty cool.
It is cool. All right, man. Well, you're obviously under the weather, trying to recover and feel better, and hopefully talking for a little bit here took your mind off that a little bit, but you got to do what you got to do to get better. And Ben's hitting the tour, leaving on Wednesday. He'll probably catch up with you at some point out there, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm excited. We're going to have some good content coming out and give people a little more taste of what it's like to be on the Pro Tour.
Sweet.
Yes.
Sick.
For those who don't know, I am going to go on tour with Gannon to be his personal videographer and editor, and sometimes caddy. So we're gonna grow his brand and really get a insight to the #1 player in the world. You can expect practice rounds, tips, tricks, tournament recaps. I wish I was at Kansas City. Just it would have been awesome. Because I would have had all the shots he shot, and then right after have him talk over about how he shot the hot round. I think it would have been really cool. But you can expect that from now on. We're gonna do some exciting things, and I'm leaving. I'm hitting the road Wednesday, so it's gonna be pretty exciting. So if you win that first major, banger video.
Banger video. Hopefully, I'll try my best for you guys.
For us.
Sweet, dude. Well, we do appreciate it. Have a good evening, Gannon. Catch you out there, man. Good luck with the next ones.
See you, man.
Rest up.
Bye.
Peace out.
I feel like we're ending the show.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
that's the ending the show music. Sorry.
See you later, everybody.
Peace out. Good
We have 2
interview.
more guests, but wait
I
till
meant
next
to
week.
do. There, let's get
There
that.
you
That's
go.
better. We're back into it.
Yeah.
So Ganon Buhr, everybody. That was one of the shortest interviews we've ever done with him, but just right. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
well, here's the
little
thing.
recap.
I had other
Yeah.
questions too. However, it was just right. I agree, Matt. But like once I found out he's still fighting fevers and aches, I just didn't have the heart to drag it out.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing though. Like we could talk with Gannon for 2 hours and people would love that. When I say perfect, I don't mean yay, we shut him down. I just mean like we asked the relevant questions for the what was going on. So that was awesome.
Plus, not that he's begging us, but if he has his way and wins a lot more, we're gonna have him back on. So we gotta like kind of like it's like smoothing it out, right? Like,
stretch it
no,
out.
no peaks and valleys. Yeah.
You know what's
exactly.
gonna happen? He's just gonna be like, Ben, sit in the interview for me. You were there.
Right. You know what? So I want to ask you all
Yeah.
what I might have asked him is, was it a weird? This is not the right word. I need a thesaurus. Was it a weird tournament to be ahead by 6 and 7 strokes after the first round? What I mean by that is you earn every stroke, so it plays out. But like tournaments are usually like within like 2, maybe 3 strokes, and have such a crazy lead. Like, does that just change the way the tournament unfolds? Like, you're going into the next round. Like, it's just, is it a weird mindset?
Oh,
As a
to ask
player or a
him.
spectator?
I think
Yeah, like I would have
Yeah.
just, asked him, but I'm
Yeah.
asking you all. Like, I don't know. It's just like following the scores. I'm like, oh, wow. It's like a totally different like vibe.
Yeah, well, I think he even said himself on an interview. One, Josh, the word you're looking for is exacerbate. Just letting you know.
Wait, say that
probably
again,
not.
because I don't think
we
you're saying
started
it
this
right.
crap again.
Exasperate.
Nope.
I mean, exacerbate.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just joking. But he did say in an interview on Tournament Central going into the final round, he said that he's going to play more match play golf tomorrow. As in, so like before they knew it was going to be 9, he said he's going to play more match play because, yeah, he was up so much that he didn't have to play those aggressive lines. It was more so keeping his distance away enough. So that's literally word for word what he says. Match play. He's going to try and do a little more match play style.
As a much lower tier player, I've fortunately been in spots where, let's say, I've had a big lead after either the first round or going into the final round. There is what I would say the mindset of it almost becomes a lot more to lose. Like, let's say Gannon was to lose in that final 9 after being up 6 strokes in the first round. It's almost like that was a huge choke job. Like, is Gannon a choke artist? And there's almost more to lose than there is.
It would have been that he was sick.
99.9%. Yeah. Like his odds in the disc golf betting were probably like if you bet $1, you may have won 10 cents kind of thing. Like that's how the odds were. But
Did you see what the odds were?
no, and
Pro
to be
Tour
honest,
posted
so
them.
I'm not a sports betting person. Main reason I just don't have the extra money to throw around
Gannon
in
and
sports betting
Holyn
right now.
picked. Gannon and
Yeah.
Holyn were number 1.
Yes.
They
and
picked it.
that makes sense. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
if you put
it was
$100
like
on it, do you
+185 or
win
something.
$10? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's where I don't know odds. But anyway, so I think just to
Gannon-
quickly
if
answer,
Gannon won-
yeah,
Sorry, just to interrupt you real quick. I think it was like +185 before the tournament, which is why it was that a little higher because it was like anyone could win. But
Yeah.
if Gannon won +185, that means you would have got like almost double whatever you bet. So
Okay.
+100. I mean, not almost double. Almost triple. So plus
double
100
double in
is
a
double,
little bit.
and then 200 is you get triple.
Okay.
So that's what. it is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But
So,
go ahead. Sorry.
but yeah, ultimately, it's just like he had such a big lead. He's in the driver's seat, right? If he was to lose it, it would have been, I think, way more detrimental than he won it. Great. Hey, good job, Gannon. But it was kind of like you were supposed to win it after that first round. Like, I don't think anyone thought he wasn't going to win it after that first round. Especially, I don't think anyone thought he was going to lose once they announced that it was a final 9.
But
So
that's
at,
why.
that, at that point, Gannon was completely right. Like all he had to do was play match play.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to lose 6 strokes. going into the
Realistically,
final
no.
9. Yeah.
Even if it got down to 2 or 1 strokes, it would have just been like teasing, exciting, because the reality is you're not going to lose that many strokes in a final 9. I guess anything's possible, but like he knew he did the nail
Well,
in the
that's the thing,
coffin
yeah.
on that hole, like hole
You have-
6.
you have two of the best generational players right behind you, making a push, and they're both getting birdies right off the rip. Like they're both attacking the way that they need to be. And so that's where the excitement kind of came. When Gannon ripped his shot OB on hole 3 and then almost ripped another shot OB, like it just barely came back in bounds. I was like, okay, there's some weird nerves going on right now. And this is before you knew he was sick, or before you knew, like, obviously, he's got a little bit of the leg problem right now, but this is before you knew he was sick at all. So then you're like, whoa, what the heck's going on through his mind? Like, maybe you kind of almost think that he hasn't won yet this year. That's obviously weighing a little bit of a toll on him. Is this mentally going to be like really, really crippling right now? And then if he had lost it, how does that play out the rest of the season? Excuse me.
Yeah. So anyways,
that's what I meant by, like, it's again not the best word, but like weird at all. Just like the whole thing, it was not the way a normal event goes down. Not that there is any normal, but anyway, which by the way makes it interesting. So I'm not even, that's not a knock. Like, it was crazy looking at the scores after that first round. You're like, what? These are all the top professionals in our sport, and he just like basically ran a lap around them. It's crazy.
Yeah,
anyway,
crazy how much he was up by.
Yeah. So anyway, glad he joined, even though he's not feeling well. That's like, honestly, like fevers and aches and pains are probably the worst. And he said that's the worst he's been in a long time. And it's like, if you have a job where you still are obligated to go out and do it, which is basically what his situation was. I don't know. Kudos to him. Again, congrats. Yeah. Now he says he's going to go pick off one or two majors this year. I know Worlds is like, he's got his mind set on that. So sure, we'll see some good things from him.
Let's do like 3 or 4 or 5 more minutes here on some of this topics, and then we'll move into PDL pop drop lock results, and we'll talk about what went on there as well as the winner. So this comes up maybe once, it comes up every time there's a weather issue. I know we talked a little bit about this just in general, like in the previous conversation before Gannon. People in the chat were talking about it. I want to just make sure maybe you just get a little bit of our perspective in there. And I don't mean mine specifically. Nick is a TD, not a TD, as an event coordinator for a course. We've watched the tour long enough to see these things. We've been integrated enough, Josh, you and I, with the pro tour at a high level that we know kind of what's going on here. But like when weather comes in, first and foremost, nobody wants it. Pro tour hates it. The players obviously don't enjoy playing in it. And then the fans just want people to play disc golf. Obviously be safe, but the fans want to watch disc golf. And so you kind of have this whole safety thing tying up Seth Muncy, has to make this call. He's the guy who gets to make that call. They've pretty much just put it square on his shoulders. It's not Jeff Spring's call. I mean, I guess Jeff could say, like, I'm going to fire you and now I'll make the decision. But the point is, it's like been given to Seth to do this. And Seth makes the call based off of, there's a lot of good policy. I mean, at the work I'm at, outdoor work, overhead utility, lightning within certain distance, certain time. Everyone has a different rule. The Pro Tour has set their rule. They have to stick with it. They can't make deviations from it unless it's formally agreed upon. And so all I'm saying is nobody wants to make that call, but there's a liability issue. Like, they have to make that call. There's a funny social media clip. I forget whose it was now. I want to say it was Joey Tamale underneath the tent with AB, Calvin, Harry Chase, and a few others. And they made it kind of funny little, not a skit, but they made a little funny skit. They're like, no, Seth Muncy's running to his car to get the horn. And they're like, don't blow it. Don't blow it. You know, like, just don't. So like, we want to play. And then it's honk. They're like, no. Like, they're like, and Calvin's going, this is miserable. Like, I just want to play. Awesome. He goes, this is like the worst thing that could have happened. Like, we're out here under the tent waiting and we have to go through the rain and go sit in our car. So long story short, nobody wants that. And then you get people that come on and say, well, I have a solution. So this is where I'm getting to, and I want to put this to you guys. On social media, I can't say it's not people that aren't in the know. I can say, I don't know. Maybe everybody's in the know when they're saying this. But why can't they just do it on a Monday morning? What do you think, Nick? Let's take your perspective first.
That's a tough one.
Will that work? Not whether you want it or not. I mean, I think everyone would love it, but maybe not the tour and the players. What do you think?
It's tough because, and I'll say, a lot of players now, money's in our sport, right? A lot of players are actually getting paid a very, very good living now off of playing disc golf. One of the issues that we run into that though is now the more money people are making, let's say now they're getting hotels and Airbnbs. So they get an Airbnb till Saturday evening usually. So that Sunday morning, I should say. So that Sunday morning before their final round, they get ready, they leave, boom, their car's packed, they head to the course for the final time, and then usually Sunday evening is when they leave to start going to the next event. So say, hey, by the way, everyone has to stay here and play one final round on Monday. It becomes a logistical issue for not only Pro Tour people because they all book hotels and everything. The second the event ends, right, that final putt goes in. Let's say the final putt on hole 1 goes in and the lead group is on hole 2. They're already breaking down the assets on hole 1. They're getting ready to load everything up and leave the second the tournament is over pretty much. They're trying to boogie on out of there. So when it comes to a logistical issue, it is a huge pain in the butt to say, all right, everyone sleep it off. We're going to finish this on Monday. It's way easier to just say 9 holes or round canceled. It sucks way more. I understand that completely. But like I said, when it comes to a logistical issue, yes,
I think
it's
Nick,
almost impossible.
We agree on a lot, but for the sake of the show, I often disagree with you a lot, and I kind of own it. I actually think that point that you made, everyone needs to sit on that one for a minute, because what's everyone going to do? All of a sudden, rebook hotels, rebook Airbnbs? Like, not everybody's in their own bands.
You got to rebook flights.
Everything.
You got to rebook flights for your staff. You
at
have
3 or 4 in the
out.
afternoon. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not. Exactly. We're not at that place.
In a sense, the amount of money that I think the Pro Tour would lose off of their staff having to be out there for one extra day, and not saying because it's one extra day, but because they planned it 12 hours in advance, they would lose a lot of money. Players would lose a lot of money trying to scramble and get a hotel room for one night. It would just become a nightmare. Now, it's something that maybe in the future, we're also, fortunately, sorry, I thought Ben was frozen, so I thought I froze for a second.
He's just sleeping.
Okay, Ben was sitting very still.
He's just standing so incredibly. Anyways,
he didn't blink for 30
Avengers. I was thinking Avengers thing. Anyway, sorry, went off track for a second. But fortunately, this was an off week to where they don't have to travel out to Stockton, California right now, right? Like, they have a week off and then it's the major. But say the next week was a Pro Tour event. Now you're killing a complete practice day. You're killing a travel day, whatever. It would be a nightmare. Now, if this was, and actually, Matt, I'm really, really happy you brought this up because I haven't even seen this yet, and I think it's not going to go away, right? But Daniel, one of our longtime OGs, Daniel is the man. Additionally, how about all the local tourney staff, volunteers, etc., that go back to their regular jobs on Monday? That is the LOC, the local committee that is helping and actually really running this event, prepping this event, getting it going. 99% of them probably do have to go back to a regular job on Monday. And hey, you could look at it like today was, I guess, technically Patriots Day. So maybe some people had off, but at the same time, it just would have been really, really hard to do without planning like that. If this was a major, though, Matt, I think the decision could be swayed somewhat because you've already done a cut. I don't know, maybe do a Monday tournament or Monday round, but
right. But you've got
at the same time,
but you would have to
suck.
Right. But if you did that, right, Nick, to your point, you would have to bake that in for everybody and say, this is going to be a more expensive tournament for everyone, for the volunteers, for the participants, for the committees. And if you don't need to extend to Monday, then that's like lost cost. In other words, like you could make that decision. And I would agree.
That's a good idea too, Josh.
Your spotters are going to be down. Your PDGA
you bake all that in.
You tell everybody we're planning a rain day. Like Monday is a rain day, and if we don't need it, then you get a free day. And sorry, it costs everyone money, but like you bake for like a big event like Worlds, maybe do that.
Right. I was going to say I'm not sure if I'm sold on whether we need to do it for our sport, but I'm saying if you're going to, like majors would be the place to consider it, and you bake that cost into the whole thing, because it can get complicated. I want to actually bring up one other angle, but before doing that is not only all the things that you said, Nick and Matt and others emphasized, but often you're dealing with other things too, like permits, like maybe local law enforcement, parking, other conflicts that happen, right, coming out of the weekend. The point is there's a lot. This isn't just like, all right, let's extend it. Now, I think some people Matt, in the general, I'm generalizing the social media, say, yeah, we get all that, but it's a pro tour, so do it. And I think what we're saying is our sport's not at the point where we can bake in that extended cost for everybody every single time. And not only can we not do it, it's just not like worth it, right? It's like literally, it's like why? So they could have played 9 more holes, which by the way is important to us, but not that important.
So that's, I was just about to ask, who is it most important to get those extra 9 holes in? Honestly, going to say the players, right?
The fans.
Well, people at the cut line, the cash line.
That's what I mean. So the players.
Yeah.
The players. That's really all it comes down to. Because one of the biggest things that you would see, in Facebook posts, Instagram posts, would be, how does this affect my ratings? Why didn't we play 13 holes? And it was all players talking about that. But when it comes to our standpoint, like we knew right off the rip that, hey, we're watching a final 9 right now. We're ready to see a battle. If anything, it was really exciting because imagine what could have been done had Paul or Ricky come back and tied it or pushed it into a playoff, or had won the event.
Yeah.
We knew going into it the excitement that was unfolding in 9 holes. Now to Paul and Ricky, it's like, dang it, that's 9 holes that I don't have anymore to try to catch a 6-stroke lead. To Ezra, it's 9 holes that he could have gotten back and jumped back up into 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th place rather than 11th place. So for the players, it mattered the most. For spectators, for everyone else, it would just not be feasible. Feasible, I think, is the best word to say right now. It wouldn't be feasible.
So we seem to have a consensus, and I'm going to say I think most reasonable people probably do. At least when I say reasonable, the ones who understand all the facts. Not that we have them all, but anyway. What about the people who say, why does the tour go to the Midwest where there's storms every year? Like, is that a factor?
Yeah.
Like, should they steer? Like, I'm going to say this slightly sarcastically, but like, should they only host events where they can guarantee there's no bad weather? Which you can't.
Well, seasonally,
it's almost like, can we reschedule the tour?
Well, I can hear a take because of the seasonal. Like, let's not go there.
That's the point.
This
They're
time
like, let's not go to the Midwest where we. Well,
let's not go to New England in February. Like,
right, which they don't. Right, exactly. That's exactly the point. Is they do obviously steer accordingly to the weather. England stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Bring it here.
Got this good.
There should be a snow bowl. That'd
I don't
be
even
awesome.
want to be playoffs.
But the Pro Tour does consider general weather trends for their tour. To your point, Matt, and so that's the question: is should stormy, thunderstorm patterns be part of that consideration?
That part, I mean, then my take is going to say that part of the country always has crazy storms all the time. So it's just a matter of, do we steer away forever? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, but we're just about to bring in another guest, so let's go ahead and jump into our review before we get to this interview with Holyn Handley here in a little bit. Pop, Drop, Lock review. This segment is always presented by Hooligan Discs. Tonight, instead of making picks, because we have a week off for the Champions Cup, we're just going to reveal how the last ones went, and so let's do that.
I'm
I guess
sighing because it was. I'm giving it away. It was so incredibly brutal for me.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so
I just lost the whole season on that, and I was
no, you did not, because we had someone, Nick, that wrote into the show this morning, and they said,
I saw that.
This is pretty fun.
I think I briefly saw the comment.
Did you see what he said? He said,
I didn't get to read it.
He said, seeing how my previous pop drop locks were going, which was worse than Nick's, by the way. I didn't dream I would win this week. Thanks for making Pop Drop Lock. I love it. Shout out to Robert from Canada. He won this week, and he says he was playing worse than Nick. So there's hope for everybody. But really, he just moved by hundreds of places up. This is kind of my point. If you start out real bad, like Nick, but you pop off in this game once or twice in a row, or you can definitely accomplish the win. I honestly believe you can do it because it's hard at the top here to stick it out. So let's just go through it. I don't remember the exact results here. Josh was groaning, so I'm going to say, Josh, you had minus 17.
Josh, bottom 5.
Yeah, for the whole week. Minus 17.
Minus 17 for your picks. What was the biggest mistake there? Any of them or all of them?
Jake Mon, Ezra Aderhold literally reversed them, and Lisa Fakis.
Yeah, 3 out of 6 of his picks were no bueno.
And then we're going to pull up Nick's points of 48. Nick, this is your best.
Hey, this actually might be my best week.
Who was your best pick here? What did you do well?
What did I do well? Albert Tom, 19 points.
That's, yeah.
And then Erica Stitchcom, 16
yes,
points.
those were the wins, Pops.
Yep.
Those two.
Yep.
For sure. All right. Myself,
By
I
the way,
got
I love that it says
107.
Calvin Heimborg.
Yeah,
That's just
Heimborg.
always-
Well, that was the way Nick typed it in. It's
Yeah, I know. I like it.
You can do a little of your
Heimborg.
personal flair with this game. Which actually I'm impressed. Ben typed in Hannah Stefanovic. He did it perfectly, I think. So, but I got 107 points. My big win here, just to give you the main one, was Adam Hammis. Dude was averaging 7th and got me 76 points, which means he placed like 81st or something. So I don't know how I picked it, but I did. That kept me in the game because my FPO picks were horrible. All right, Ben, you're up. You got 140. What was your win here? Or 2 wins? 140 points.
Same as you, Adam Hammes.
Mhm.
I picked Gannon to win.
Yeah, pick both winners.
Oh, bless you, Ben.
And then and I picked both winners. And FPO Pops did really well too. And the only ones I got bad were FPO Drop, Ella Hansen, and Big Germ didn't play. So
Well,
Okay,
anybody who picked Holyn to win, they got the lock of 25 points for that. So good job.
So
there.
did you say our friend Rob won this week?
Robert from Canada.
Robert. Okay, Robert from Canada. I want to know his strategy because he picked Holyn Handley to drop.
Oh, yes.
But also Holyn Handley to win.
We can ask Holyn. Well,
And he
no, Holyn
won.
doesn't care
He
about
won.
that. But what I was going to tell you is I actually commended him on that. I was like, think of the strategy there. So Holland's averaging second.
Yeah.
So if she
So he
wins,
lost 1 point
Right.
regardless if she wins.
right?
Yeah,
Well, if
you'll
she
lose
wins,
1 point,
yeah,
whatever.
you only lose one. So you get 24 points. If she doesn't win, but you had her in lock, you're still getting 10 points, and you picked her to drop. So she didn't win, so she's going to get you points there too. So it's like, it's not a bad strategy. But anyways, Holland doesn't care about that stuff. Let's get over to, we're going to actually talk to her about this. So let's welcome to the show, Holyn Handley. I think I got everything hitting correct at the same time. Here we go. Boom. Welcome to the show, Holyn Handley. How you
Hey,
doing?
what's up?
What up?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing great.
Has the weather stabilized?
Yeah, it's actually really nice today. It's like in the 70s, no rain, maybe a little windy, not bad at all.
Awesome. Okay, so we brought you on. We've had you on a fair amount. We love having you on. We don't want to waste your time. We don't ask all the same questions we've always asked. We just want to know. Actually, I don't know if I'll put you on the spot for this one. You're having an excellent season. I'll just put it that way. An excellent season where after you're off, we're going to debate a few things about your season versus Kristen's season versus like you're coming in hot. If we go over and I look at the FPO winners this year, Ella, Kristen, Holyn, but you're on the podium every single event, first, second, or third. What a season. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, things are clicking, having a good time. I think, yeah, I don't know, it's fun, just doing what I'm supposed to do.
You're swaying me, and it didn't take a lot to do this, but you're swaying me to believe that you're the dominant player that you're going to have a long tenure. Like, not that like you're going to have a tenure of like 10th places, 20th. People are going to last out on tour like that. Somehow they do it. You're going to have a long tenure of success. This was always your plan?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm consistently able to keep finding ways to get better. And, you know, even with the season I'm having so far, I still feel like there's a laundry list of things I could still find, you know, find more strokes, find more ways to improve. So I kind of see no reason that I should slow down.
That's kind of what I was going to get to was, I'm going to oversimplify it. Is it coming off during the events as easy, or are these rounds really hard and you're able to execute it?
I mean, when I'm shooting well, generally things are feeling pretty easy. I think at this point, it's more about the kind of headspace I'm in. So, you know, like Music City got third, and for at least the first 2 rounds was kind of getting frustrated pretty easily. Was frustrated with how my putt was feeling and feeling kind of anxious. But then, like, this past weekend was probably most comfortable and calm I felt throughout an entire tournament. So it's really coming down to just like what kind of headspace I'm in, and then what can I do to make sure I'm in the right headspace more often than not.
Yeah, Matt, unless you're saying something, I wanted to follow up specifically on that because I heard you in the post-round interview also mention that. And I want to get a little bit specifically to hole 17 and 18 because it actually did not appear to be that the mindset was as calm. But before that, I mean, you led wire to wire and you talked about kind of adapting. You just made the comment mindset. Is there, I think, how did you word it? I'll ask you here, but you something like just not caring as much. I don't know. Maybe I'm not remembering your quote, but like, what are you actually doing to kind of be less anxious and keep that mindset?
Yeah, I think I really just got I got sick of being frustrated and anxious all the time because I felt that way during Austin. I felt that way during Music City. I felt that way during the ATR I played last weekend, where I wasn't having the kind of rounds that I felt like I should have, and I was just getting very frustrated. And I'm kind of at this point of like, what am I even doing? Like, it's supposed to be an enjoyable thing, and so I was like, you know what? I'm tired of feeling that way. I'm just gonna not care as much. I'm just gonna, I've done all of the work to put together a good game plan. I'm just gonna like do my best to put the disc on the line, and I'm not gonna care where it actually ends up. And I think thinking like that kind of freed me up from worrying so much about like, if this 15-footer doesn't go in, it's gonna be so embarrassing and stuff like that. And I just didn't feel scared on any of my shots, and definitely felt some nerves and some anxiety on 17 and 18, right? Because that was 16. That second shot was really the first big mistake I made on that final day, and I knew I kind of needed to, get it together and finish strong. But after we got through 17 and I had 3 strokes left, it was kind of like, all right, I can just, 2 inbound shots, throw it'll be long, and we're good. But yeah, for the most part, it was just kind of like letting go of results more so than maybe just fully not caring, because obviously still care a lot.
Right. Well, that's always the weird paradox is like, it's something you care so much about that you need to tell yourself you don't care as much about it. Right. Which is like kind of a weird thing.
But then do you believe that part? You're trying to convince yourself, you're like, but I know I'm fooling myself. It's a whole mind thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so leading wire to wire, does that change, does that mean anything to you besides the obvious fact of like, yes, it's great to be winning, but does it change the way you approach the round 2 or round 3 or anything of that sort? Or is it just like, it's just an inconsequence leading wire to wire?
Towards the middle and end of the final round, I definitely played 14 and 15 a little bit more conservatively, because you can kind of switch from having to waffle about like, do I attack, do I not, and just kind of get into this space of like, okay, don't take any dumb risks, and then just play like pretty smooth from there. And so but not a huge mindset shift, because really like when I started thinking about the results, that's when the anxiety and all that stuff kind of comes into play. So really just trying to stay focused on like what's the process that got me here, and can I stay in that space even as we're getting to the end, and the consequences of each individual shot get to be bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Great. Unless someone else wants to follow up on that, I want to actually ask, we've seen this course before, but this was the first time we've seen it as an elite event. And we interviewed Gannon earlier and did not ask him. And so I'm just curious to get your perspective, just general feedback on the course. For us, not there, the general sentiment on social media is largely positive. Last time you were here, we talked a lot about the Open at Austin and a lot of their course design challenges. What was your take on this particular course? Do you feel like it laid out well for the field?
Yeah, I thought the course was great. I played 2 years ago when it was a silver event, and they had made a couple of really good changes, I think, to make it a little bit more scoreable, or just a little bit more attackable. So I think 2 years ago, there were several holes where we had a lot of PO like laying up on par 3s and stuff, and I felt like every hole was pretty attackable, and there was a good variety of shots. I also felt like it filmed pretty well. It was pretty easy to tell contextually what was going on. And then it seemed like the spectators were able to also get a good view from a variety of places. So I think all in all, it was a really good course. The spectators seemed to have a good time, and I think most of the players really liked it.
Very cool.
Awesome. Ben, Nick, anything before we let Holyn go?
No, just huge congratulations. It's been super, super fun to watch the season unfold so far. I know a couple of weeks ago when we had you on, we were talking about you were making about $1,600 a round of per Pro Tour event each and every round. You've probably exceeded that. You're probably close to the $2,000 mark right now, which I just think is very, very cool, very awesome. Just shows how much hard work and effort you put into the off season. I said this years ago. The way that you train in the off season, I've always said Holyn's going to be the pop player, and you were doing just that this year. So it's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, and I know there's so many factors, including events that'll eventually drop off. So the context is broader than that. But I mean, 710 Pro Tour points, with the next being one of your friends, Ella, at 550. So I mean, you're not running away with it because, like I said, things can change. But I guess currently you are. So yeah, to emphasize how Matt started the interview, congrats on a strong start. That's why we've talked to you multiple times. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if you care about rating at all. So I'll just ask, do you care about your rating at all as a player rating? It's something, everyone talks about. Do you personally?
I mean, not really. I mean, we'll notice if, you shoot 1,000 rated or not. That kind of gets attention, and then I'll note if, if it was above my rating or below my rating. But generally, I don't need to look at rating to know if I played well or not. So not something I put too much stock in, really.
Yeah, and I guess I was thinking more about you just in general, your player rating. You are creeping up to that, historic, as in Kristen just got that 1,000 and now 1,003. You're creeping up there, and it's up to us, I guess, to discuss that, unless you want to come out and say you'll be the next. But it's something that people have tried to achieve, and I think you're on your way to do that. And what do you think about the Champions Cup? You're going to take a week off. Are you going home? Are you relaxing? Are you planning for a Champions Cup to take that down? What's your plan there?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently driving out west right now. We're somewhere in Nebraska. So the plan is to kind of take a slow drive. We'll drive and then we'll chill for a bit, chill for a bit, and then we'll get there Saturday. But I mean, I love Swenson. I love playing. It's not the OTB Open this year, but I do really love that event, love that course. So I think my chances are pretty good.
Awesome.
And good mindset to have going into it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, for sure. Can you remind me again when you started playing disc golf? I can see that your first win was back in 2020. How long have you been playing again?
I started at the very end of 2019, about October of 2019. So we're about 5.5 years.
Yeah. So let's just say 6. And I want to do a quick math here. Let's see. My math's not quick enough. Hold on. $187,000 in that time period. That's not, I mean, it comes out to $31,000 just off of winnings if you were to average it. And I have a feeling that most of that's more weighted towards the last few years. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, she's like, oh yeah. So
yeah.
Disc golf is in a different place, but it's awesome to see that you're doing it at such a high level. We're grateful that you came on the show, and we're going to let you go. Keep it short and sweet for you. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good talking to y'all.
Yep, peace out.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, Holyn Handley, everybody. Joining the show with somebody chauffeuring, driving her. Always brings me back to the Ricky. We're not sure if he was driving or not, but it's better to see her as a passenger. He was driving, yeah.
He was driving.
Yeah, she's very confident. Her mindset. She's obviously working on things, but to hear her say that she is seeing things where she can still gain strokes, like on the field, or improve. Guys, I'm going to just feed it out because I said I would. I told her we would do this. Not that we have to keep our end of the bargain, but I want to do this. Some of you will scream at me. Matt hates Kristen. I want to do it because I think it's an interesting conversation to have. Who's having a better season? Holyn Handley, Kristen Lott. And
Josh, give us the numbers. How many events has Kristen played and won versus Holyn played and won?
So the cheating answer is going to be, well, we can't compare them because they haven't played the same amount of events. So yeah, let's go through it.
So two
let's
events,
go through
right?
No, I think you can.
It's two
there's no
events so
cheating.
far, right?
You asked who's having. Did you say who's having a better?
Who's
season
having the
so
better
far?
season?
Yeah, Holyn is
easily
having the better season.
Yeah.
You can't not play events and say, "Hey, maybe I would have been good."
My season's still good,
right?
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, I said I make it sound obvious. Kristen's very close because she's played 3 events and has finished first, second, and first. She's winning 66% of the events she's played. So right? That's why it's a conversation, because you could say on average, she's performing better, and at that rate, she will outperform Holyn this year, right? Because Holyn's winning 40% of her events, and Kristen's winning 66%.
So let's say.
So I understand the argument, but otherwise, I'm like, Holyn's played 5 events and has not missed a podium and has 2 wins compared to Kristen's 2 wins.
Well, they're asking in the chat who has the
wins.
higher average finish. So Kristen is having a better average finish by like half
Yeah,
a
that's
place.
what,
That's 3 wins, right?
that's what I was just saying. Like,
But I wanted to know, is it unanimous? Does the chat feel this way? Does the show feel this way? Because if that's the case, I want to serve up something a little harder. So Kristen, let's say she takes down 6 events this year. Would be 4 more wins. And let's say those are the only 4 events she plays. The
three
rest
more
she
wins.
doesn't. Oh, she has 3 wins?
no,
She has 3. She's 3 for 4. She's 75%.
What are you talking
right now.
about?
What?
Kristen.
Kristen. What 3 events did she win?
Waco, Jonesboro. Oh, that wasn't. I'm sorry.
Jonesboro's not
Jonesboro
on the
wasn't
2
Elite
Yeah,
Series.
no.
My bad.
That's
My
okay.
bad.
So
Reddit saw Jonesboro, was like, yeah. So then I'm thinking, I'm like, what the heck are we talking about? Okay, sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, okay. So exactly
2 for 3.
Okay. So, but here's what I'm saying. So let's say she wins 4 more, but those are the only events she plays. So she shows up to these next 4 or whatever she picks throughout the rest of the season. Let's not go with majors. Let's not add, because that's a whole nother part of the conversation. Let's just say standard Elite Series. She wins 4 more. Those are the only ones she shows up to. And then you have, let's just take it all the way. Holyn plays the rest of them and gets 4 more. You're going to say it's Holyn every time? 6 versus 6 wins. Holyn played more. She didn't, win them. She got 2nd or 3rd. Like,
This is my take. In that regards, if that's the example we're using,
yeah.
Holyn had the better season. Kristen is the better player.
Oh, yes. I can see it.
That's the only way I can say it, and that I think makes the most sense is Kristen had less opportunities and won the same exact amount.
Or she had as
Holyn
many
had-
opportunities. She just chose not to do it.
Well, let's say her visa got screwed up.
Okay. All
Like,
right.
let's say that something drastic like that happens to where she legitimately could not compete in the U.S. for those 4 events that Holyn played more than her. And Holyn goes and wins. And those are the 4 events. This is the other thing, is that did Holyn win the events with Kristen at the event? Did Kristen win the events with Holyn at the events? You know what I mean? So it's like, is Holyn beating the field but not beating Kristen? Or is Holyn beating Kristen and the field, which I know she did at Austin, the first one that kind of sparks into my mind. But so that's just kind of how I look at it, to where if Kristen goes and wins 6 events out of 8 events that she played, that's an incredible record. If Holyn wins 6 events out of 12 events that she played, that's obviously still an incredible record. She's winning 50% of the time. But I'd give my nod to Kristen as the better player, but Holyn had the better season. Now, this is the other thing, Matt, and I'll kind of take your example, and now I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. Let's say Kristen goes and wins 6 out of 8 events. Holyn wins 6 out of 12 events. But the 6 events that she did not win, besides for the podiums that she's already gotten, let's say the next few events she gets 40th, 30th, and 28th place. Who do we say is having the better season? You know, these are all what ifs, which sometimes speculate. Sorry, I have super allergies today, so if I'm sneezing and kind of like rub my eyes, that's why. For everyone that's watching, it's a super speculation, super what if right now. But anyways, I said what I had to say, and I think that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of factors, right? Kristen's 2 wins. Holyn was in the field. For Holyn's 2 wins, Kristen was only in the field once. It's not a head-to-head sport, but I mean, that is a factor. But still, for me, like if you literally just played out at this rate, right? You would say, okay, let's say we play 5 more events. So now Holyn has 4 wins out of 10 events, and Kristen would have 4 wins out of 6 events. I still pick Holyn. I mean, I understand. Yeah, exactly. And I understand you could then say, well, again, who's a better player? Like, I don't know. I'm not ready to go into that.
But when it comes down to a better
discussion
season, hey, this is the Ricky thing. Who is more consistent? Not just the one tournament, not just the World Championships, but who did well all season. That's kind of one of Ricky's biggest things that he talks about. So I guess that's just kind of what we're talking about right now. But Holyn is having the better season. Holyn's season is actually incredible right now. Both of their seasons are. Both Kristen and Holyn are having absolutely incredible seasons. So it is
Here's-
really, really fun to watch. I'm excited for the
Yeah, I
rest
just,
of
like,
the
I
year
have
of more events Kristen being
Right.
at.
I was gonna say, I know it'll play out, so it's too early, and
Yes.
so my reaction
Yes.
doesn't matter. But I'm gonna say it's frustrating not seeing Kristen at 40% of our events.
Yeah.
So like that alone, like you're asking me subjectively. I'm not saying statistically. Subjectively, I'm like, no, like she's not, like she hasn't been there for 40% of our Elite Series events. Now, by the she will be by the end of the year. That'll go away, right? Like that's not a. It's presumed. So like that's not. I'm not saying projecting that on her season, but right now it's like no, somebody who's out there who's finished second, first, third, and first.
Well, so to add more to that conversation, and I was getting tied up with a few things here. So if you already said this, I apologize. But the fact that Kristen wasn't in the field like at this would go into that conversation about how good of a win this was for Holyn. Because
Yeah, I did mention.
Are we ranking all wins equally? Right. So yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, it's
All wins matter.
yeah, all wins matter. All wins matter.
You know? Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how this
but
goes.
that's part of, yeah, right, exactly. But that's part of the factor. And
Yes.
I'm kind of like, to me, that's a knock on Kristen for not being there. It's not a
Yeah,
knock on Holyn for
100%.
not beating Kristen.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Holland's
And
beating
it's
the
like
field. Holland is beating
yeah, if you're a
the
champion
field
fighter
right
and
now.
you step in the ring and the
Yes.
other people don't show up, you don't say, well,
Yeah.
they didn't show up. You're like, no, like I'm here. Like I'm ready to go.
And
Yeah.
Holyn, the second place at Supreme Flight Open, as you know, Nick, because you carded them up back and
We're
forth.
really close
Like
to first.
she literally was there to win it. Like she's in a playoff,
Yeah.
pretty much
She was in a
tied for
playoff.
first is what it is. And then you just get second because you didn't win in the playoff, which that's what a playoff is, sudden death. But like,
Yep.
so you even have that to argue. It's like there was a playoff involved with one of those. So
Yeah. Now, I will admit, by the way, it makes it super exciting to have Kristen where she's at, because this is why we want to have her back, because now you've got like really good competition with something big on the line besides just the win, right?
Yep.
If Kristen comes and wins the next two and Holyn doesn't, that, like, you know, now Kristen has it, right?
Hey, we're going into the major, which is huge. I mean, let's say Kristen takes down the major, wins it by one stroke over Holyn Handley. Who are we giving the nod to? Majors mean something more in our sport.
well, at that point,
you know.
I
Well,
would say it's
that-
pretty
yeah.
easy to say Kristen's season.
Yeah, 'cause she has 3 wins.
Okay. So
Just with that win specifically.
they're both right
Yeah.
there, and that's
Yeah,
right. that's what's awesome
They're
about it.
both
It's
super
not-
close, but
Yeah.
I wonder, maybe we'll just let Ben arbitrate this because he hasn't said anything. Ben, you think Holland's having the better season, I presume?
Yeah, by far.
All right.
It'd be different if it'd be more of an argument if maybe Kristen had one more win than her, but
Of course.
they have the same
Right,
amount of
right,
wins, and she has way more second places. She only has 1 third place, so it's like it's night and day. Obviously,
Well,
I was just making sure
Holly.
you didn't disagree with us. That's
It's
all.
just interesting because to wrap it up, you could pick and choose your events on purpose. And this brings me back to remember when Eagle was performing at such a high level. Do you guys remember that? He was performing at a very high level, multiple wins. And he was like, whether it was because of that or not, he was picking and choosing his events. And he was doing well at the events he showed up to. At some point, like players do that. I would imagine they do that in golf too. They don't play every golf event.
Shoot, I would for the amount of money they
Yeah.
make. Oh God, and to play golf, man, that sounds awesome.
But I think there's something to be said for the future of disc golf being that you don't have to. And I know players don't. Oh, was Simon at this event?
Nope.
No. Like, I guess what I'm saying is people are picking and choosing. You're gonna do it. Does that make your season worse? I don't know. You have to prove it with the rest of the events you show up to. Is kind of my take.
I do think this would have been a very Simon friendly course though. It would have been fun to watch Simon there. Not saying he's going out and shooting 1095 the first round, but I think this would have been a fun Simon course to see him at. But no,
All right,
he's hanging out here in Massachusetts.
he's hanging out, just hanging out,
Yeah.
doing nothing. We're gonna get Cadence Burge on here in just a little bit. I already alluded to this in the very beginning. I picked her to pop this year because I felt really strong about her as a player to pick to do that. I was off on the pick that I did, but not off on her as a player being able to do that. And again, when she comes on, I want to. What's a player going to say if you ask them? Is this who you are? Is this how you plan to perform from here on out? It's going to be, I hope so. I think so. Like, I mean, that's what it's going to
Or
be.
the confidence.
Or do you think
So
it's going to
she's
be,
like,
or yeah, is anybody going to be like, no, this is back into the original Nick and Matt show days. This is a fluke.
Yeah, right. I think
No, this
I
year is
think
definitely not
some
a fluke.
players
So I
would
mean,
be
I don't know
honest.
if you're, I'm gonna say don't ask that question, Matt. Right now, that's my advice.
Mm.
That's fine.
No,
You
I'm
can
not
ask
asking that
whatever
question.
you want.
I'm not. No, I'm not asking that question. I was throwing it back to the days of old, asking as
I know you were, and I'm playing along too, giving you advice live on the show. But that's my advice: is not to ask that, because in all seriousness, we'll ask her. But like she's having, this is what you were alluding to.
Well,
she's
it
having
hasn't
a really good
been a
year.
fluke. Yeah, no. This
Right.
is not a fluke. That would be a dumb question to ask.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know you know.
But
that.
let's say she was having last season, or she wasn't doing as much last season. Let's say she was averaging 40th this season, and she gets a second here with a crazy performance. You might still say, Matt, don't ask the question that way. And I've come a long ways and different things. I might ask it. Let her say for herself, is that a fluke or is it not? Let her defend that case, but it's not a fluke. I'm just curious what's changed. Is it just maturity? Is it the tour? Like now she's hitting more, she's getting confidence, experience.
Right.
We're going to find out.
That's the question, is what changed. Right. Because something has changed. I like something for sure. Whether she can articulate it or not is what we'll ask, but definitely something's changed. Right. She didn't have a top 10 last year. This year, like
and she just
4 top
averaged over
10s.
1,000 at the event.
Yeah. So something's changed.
She,
Hey, I know. Go ahead.
10th, 5th, 2nd, her best 4. She had a 38 that opened at Austin. That's
Right.
That's the one I picked her to pop. I'm sorry, Cadence. Literally, that's the one.
So we'll have her on in a minute. Before we go there, I've seen a lot of chatter about how much people liked the live coverage of this event this past weekend. So let's not drain this topic, but I actually did not catch a lot live. I've heard some of the replays live and went back and skimmed through. But Dixon Jowers on the ground, people really seem to appreciate his perspective. Obviously, he's been in the sport for a long time, so a lot to offer from insights, which is often what you're asking for on the ground. And then a great in the booth coverage by a team that people are really starting to like, I think. So just thought I'd mention that since it seemed to be a talking point. I'm not sure if either of you caught much of it or all of it.
A little nostalgia, a little bit, because of the days of old with Smashbox Live. Towards the end of it, as far as like the production for Disc Golf Pro Tour events, Dixon was involved a fair amount. So to hear his voice felt very familiar, comfortable. His insights, the way he talks about things, are enjoyable to your brain, your ears. I'm not going to be here to criticize it all. I think with time, he would have even gotten better. So he's in a good spot. I don't see him traveling around. It's probably just because he was in his local area, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Although
you never know, they pay him enough and he likes it enough. But a lot of people we're positively responding to it. So thought I'd just mention
real quick before we get into the interview. Can you hear us, Cadence? Give us a thumbs up. Yeah, and can you just give me like a clap or a hi or something? I just want to make sure your audio is good before we bring you in. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we're getting ready to bring her in here. Just wanted to double check. I got to this point where I'd rather do like a live audio check than welcome someone and then be like, we can't hear you. All right. So are we good, guys, to go to the interview?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yes.
Let's do it this way. Got to hit a few buttons. Make sure everything's switched up. I think it worked. Here we go. Welcome to the show, Cadence. Awesome to have you. You just had a really strong performance. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good. My best finish on a pro tour event so far, and I think my best tournament average ever. So it's probably the best tournament I've played, which feels great.
Best tournament you've ever played. That's including all levels and all tiers. This feels like your best performance ever.
Yeah, I think it has been. There's a couple A tiers. I mean, at least this year that I've played pretty good in, like Mobile, but even there, I was only averaging like 980 or so, and this time I averaged like 915 or 1015, so like it's almost like infinitely better.
Yeah, and at least for this season specifically, it is your best finish. What was your mindset going into we could talk about it all, but let's just jump for the sake of this portion of the conversation. Going into the last set of holes, 9 holes, were you determined, I'm going to win, or I'm going to try, I have a chance, or what was your mindset?
So I wasn't checking scores, because it kind of stresses me out, and so I prefer not to look. But I will be honest, I did really want to win. I don't really like getting second, third. I mean, this second place, I was content with it. Honestly, it felt really good. But I do really want to win, especially a pro tour event. And so to be this close, like it's knowing I'm in second place, trying to chase someone down who is clearly winning, I definitely kind of had that drive to kind of play good on the back nine. But at the same time, I wasn't like taking the risks. Like I wasn't trying to throw it in from 100 feet or like do something stupid because it was more of just hoping that she would do something that would allow me to win rather than try to take it, which maybe that's kind of silly, but at the same time, I mean, I was happy with how I did.
So you're starting out this season. We play a game called Pop Drop Lock where we track everyone's average finishes, or we track the average finish. So we know all your finishes. We average it out. We see how you're doing. Generally, this year so far, averaging 13th with a performance like this, and a couple top 10s, 5th. You had one event where you placed 38th, Open at Austin, and Cadence. I don't know if this hurts you or helps you, but I actually in our game picked you that week. I said, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I literally said, this is her week. She's going to what we call pop off. She's going to get me a lot of points. It's a fantasy game. So it may have been, I'll fall on the sword. It might've been my fault, Cadence. Like you didn't know, but like, maybe I just like jinxed it. But besides, go ahead.
I was gonna say that my dad watches like all the podcasts, and so I mean I like know everything that's happening anyways, like on your podcast, on the Foundation podcast, and so I don't think I realized you picked me, but I think Trevor from Foundation picked me, which is the first time they've ever like literally ever talked about me, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna let them down, like they're never gonna pick me again, and then of course I did the absolute worst I possibly could, have my worst run around in like over a year. And then I was like, okay, no one's ever picking me again. I just suck.
No, I think it's not, no, because I actually think, here's the deal. Like, I think we were right, or I feel like I was right. I don't feel like you let me down. I feel like I was right in general. I think that was an off event. Like, I'm looking at the stats and I go, I was feeling the right thing here. You're playing well. You're averaging 13. Last year, you averaged 21 over the events that you played. I don't have offhand how many that was. In the year before, any of the events you played, you averaged 31st. So you went 31st, 21st, and now you're already starting out pretty well at 13 as an average. What is the difference this year? What do you see as the difference? What's happened?
Honestly, I'm not really sure because over the off season, I mean, the last pro tour event I played last year was Throw Pink, and I played awful. I got like 35th again, like just like Open Austin, played terrible. And then going into the off season, I didn't like train super hard and like go out in the field, throw a bunch of shots, try to rework my form, try to fix everything. I mean, I didn't stop playing. I still played almost every day, played in leagues. I played in my house a lot, but I didn't really try to change anything. So going into the year, I didn't really expect. I guess I didn't expect to play 10 average places better. Um, so my guess would be like maybe a different mental approach to some of my rounds. Um, I think I'm handling mistakes better. Like when I do something wrong, I'm not letting that like carry into some of the next holes. Like I mean, you can look at my rounds. I still have double bogeys and bogeys. I have one of the higher birdie percentages, but I'm still getting a lot of bogeys. But I'm not letting those affect some of my next holes, which I think is helping.
So you don't feel like your shot selection, as in like what you have available to throw, has changed? Meaning whether it's skill level, like I have a new type of shot, or like you feel like that's all the same?
So I kind of have new shots, but not in the way of like I went and practiced new shots. I have new shots because this mania, as you probably know, the players aren't supposed to throw the end of a molded stuff anymore, and so a lot of my bag was end of a molded stuff. So I switched a lot of discs out, got some new ones, and oddly enough, I actually found that I have a couple of different shots now. Um, I maybe lost a shot or two, but now I have some new ones I feel a lot more confident in. But I don't think I like gained actual like new disc golf shots. Like I didn't learn how to throw an amazing flex shot or anything. I didn't really try to change that.
All right. Well, your performance was solid, and maybe to your point, it's some sort of mental ability or experience, or just your mindset going into it maybe has shifted where you're able to do this. But no pressure, right? From us, we're going to talk about the players that have storylines. We always will. No pressure, but I would, as a betting person, feel like you're going to be somewhere in this same average. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it stayed in this same consistent type of trend. I'm not saying second every week. Maybe obviously you could get a win. Guys, I don't know. We don't need to put everybody on the spot here, but if we were betting on if she gets a win or not this year, it's not 0. I think it's after this weekend. I put it a lot higher. You guys agree?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, a second place finish, and people in the chat, Cadence, are saying they think if there were 3 or 4 or 5 more holes, you get the win, just because you were playing so well. And obviously, that's complete speculation because you don't know what Holyn would have done. But the real commentary is like you were playing well and it looked confident. So, yeah, that's definitely your ceiling, is to get a win and to go out there and push for that. I'm curious. You mentioned, I think, you said your dad listens to all the media? Is that what you said? Okay,
yeah, so he's probably listening right now, to be honest. So.
Well, so first of all, say hi. You got to shout out, right? Like,
Larry, is that his name?
Yes, his name is Larry.
Right.
Larry.
Hi, Larry. glad you listened to our show. It's gonna be
hilarious if he's not listening. It's gonna be hilarious if he's not listening right now.
Yeah.
Well, this will get back to him somehow, I'm sure.
I'll see him in a couple hours.
Okay. Awesome. So for you, though, I'm curious, like, getting your name. I mean, those who follow the sport closely have known your name since you've been out there and working and grinding. But popping up and showing up a little bit more. And then some people, like you have Matt, kind of saying, yeah, you're going to get a win. But there's probably other people who are like, oh, I'm not so sure how she would perform. Like, how do you respond to, like, just any commentary you hear, whether it's passed you secondhand or you hear it directly? Like, do you get bulletin board material? Meaning, where somebody says something and then you use that as fuel, or do you ignore it? Like, what's your approach to just people talking about your performances?
I would say that I definitely use it as fuel, I think.
Okay.
I have a couple examples. Well, most recently, so my dad listens to podcasts, and one of them is Ulti World. Yeah. And I think they started talking about me after Music City, and they kind of were like, I don't know if it's her time yet. I mean, let's hold off on talking about it. I don't know. I don't think she has a win. I don't think she has a win in her yet. And I was like, hey, now I gotta win this tournament. I gotta win KCWO, but I gotta prove them wrong. I came kind of close. Same thing like a couple years ago at AM Worlds when I won AM Worlds in 2022. Well, this wasn't exactly commentary, but it was more like I didn't make league card in round 4, and so I wasn't gonna be on camera. And I was like, well, now you got to shoot a round that they're going to wish they got on camera. And I did. I had my highest rated round ever. And I had my highest rated round ever. And I got a league card the next day. So I'd say I use it kind of as fuel.
Ooh, so it sounds like it. So what you're actually saying is you want us to talk smack about your performance so you can go out and crush it.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about how much I saw. And
yeah.
I'll go win next
no, but obviously I'm being sarcastic there. But I know. Yeah, it is interesting, Cadence, just to hear, and which is why I asked your perspective. Players are at all different places when it comes to media exposure because of either their successes or their sponsors or their deals or their own media presence. And with somebody, Matt already mentioned, but right, last year you averaged 20th with no top 10s. Okay. And then this year you're averaging 13th with 4 top 10s in a second place. And you are 8th in Pro Tour standings so far this year, and you finished 25th last year. So that's why I asked, because you've moved up a significant tier. Like 1 or 2 tiers. Yeah. And so people talking about the players finishing in 25th place and averaging 20th, you're a name people knew last year. There's no question about that. But like, it's a different conversation when you're finishing in the top 10 almost every event and are pushing for a win. So just curious how you're responding to all the different, that chatter. I mean, we've had you on the show before, so we like to talk to you about disc golf. Yeah. But there's a difference when we message you this week, right? We're messaging you because you're in the news. And so just curious how you're kind of handling that. And in some ways, I hope it's exciting.
Absolutely. Ben, Nick, before we let her go, I mean, we could talk a long time, Cadence. We appreciate you coming on, but we also respect people's time too, knowing that they got a lot to do. Ben, Nick, you got anything?
Not really question, but actually right before the Supreme Flight Open, I think it was either before one of your practice rounds, before one of your tournament rounds, I was talking to Bo McLaughlin, and he was saying you were struggling with distance in the off season, but then all of a sudden, for some odd reason, you came down to Florida and you were just like crushing the disc. And anyways, it was almost like this cool, like, she's got this more enjoyment out of it now. And then we're obviously seeing that in the later events, great finishes, and then obviously the podium finish this past weekend. So what has kind of been the mindset throughout the year? I mean, is it everything that you've dreamed of kind of touring as a professional disc golfer, or is it just, it's starting to click, but just wait another couple months kind of thing?
I'm not really sure. I definitely think that in like the tournaments I get 10th in, obviously they're some of my best finishes, but I go out there and I still see that I had so many mistakes, and I'm still 20 strokes off of whatever Christian Tatar is shooting. So lots of strokes to make up. So I definitely think there is better rounds. I think like what I played this weekend is more close to how I can play when I play the best I can. Um, I'm not really sure what clicked. It's not even that really anything changed. It's like I finally am playing how I feel like I should be playing every round before. Like every time I get mad at myself in a round, like previously, this is what I think. I'm like, why am I not doing this every time? And then I just started doing that. And I don't really know why. I don't know where the distance came from. I wouldn't say I gained like substantial distance or anything. But I gained enough to be like average to slightly above average, which I guess when you have that amount of distance, you have more confidence just throwing your shots. Versus before when I didn't believe that I had that, I had a lot less confidence in my shots. Which I think it's something that a lot of like newer players in tournament, not newer players, but new to like the pro scene players kind of struggle with, is those confidence in shots and believing that they're either good enough to be there or good enough to throw those kind of shots, which is what I had been struggling with the past couple of years.
And was this tournament kind of that, hey, you know what, I deserve to be there? Did that kind of come out of the, second place finish this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. Before, I had never really had a performance that showed me that I was able to do that. So actually seeing myself go out there, play that good, get on lead card, and then continue playing that good, kind of showed me that maybe I can be that good.
Nerves or jitters? I mean, being filmed, you got Jomis filming you got the Pro Tour filming you live. You're in contention to win the tournament. What was kind of the nerves and jitters aspect of things?
So the first round, actually, before I was on camera or anything, I was really nervous. I putted really bad, and I think all of those misses were just like pure nerves. I was super scared to be out there. I wanted to play good so badly, and I was just making like silly little misses. But I don't really feel like I get nervous because of cameras or crowds or anything. It's more of the pressure I'm putting on myself for being out there. I don't need like external factors to feel more nervous. Like whether Jonas was there and there was no crowd, I think I'd still feel equally as nervous. Coming on a stretch, like being that close to a tour win, I think it's still pretty similar to me, honestly. I was shaking a lot on the last like couple holes. I could see my hand. It was like doing this the whole time, especially on the last putt 18.
Yeah.
Well, Gannon says that his hands shake too, so he's won a lot. So maybe it doesn't go away, Cadence.
I don't think it does.
So I don't usually comment on, physical appearance at all, but my wife has red hair. You have red hair. There's others on tour that have red hair. So this isn't a question about who has the best red hair. But maybe do you have the longest?
I mean, everyone that I've talked to, they seem to agree I have the longest.
All right.
So I would say yes, but
cool. And your preference for, and I don't keep track of this at any level, but your preference is to have it, I'll use the word long and flowing during your round. It really stands out. Is that your preference?
yeah, I think that's kind of like, I guess players have their brand. I said that's kind of what I'm trying to be my brand. It's kind of the main thing you notice when you look at me. I think it makes me different than other people. So
yeah,
I think that
stands out for sure. And I'm sure other, like I said, I married someone with red hair, and I'm sure she's rooting for you just because you have something in common. You get all the red haired people. So awesome.
Yeah, true.
But well, yes, by default, maybe there's a few others to argue, but your performance is great. Hey, look at the light just turned on, and now you're standing out even more. Before we let you go, there's someone in the chat.
An on-set producer. I know.
Yeah, there's someone on the chat named Bo McLaughlin, and he's been holding it down in there. I'll tell you what.
She's side-eyeing.
Yeah, side-eyeing. So let me see if we can go to a different view. Oh, she turned it off.
Oh, no.
She's going to have to rejoin.
Right after the bow
That's
reveal.
funny.
That's
That was like a
crazy.
cameo, and we're out.
He's
Oh,
like,
no.
Hey,
She's
so for
beating
audio
him up right
listeners,
now.
Cadence turned. The audio listeners, Cadence
Dude.
was turning the camera towards the, I think the driver of the car, and then.
Oh, there she is.
She's back.
I don't know. I don't know. I clicked the bottom of Safari, I think, and it just got rid of the camera.
But Cadence, it was perfect
Kinda
because you
point
put the
to-
camera over, and then it just like dropped. It was like kind
We
of
were
a
about to
mic
send
drop.
for help. Like, we weren't sure what was going on, but welcome back to the show. So that was Bo. We'll give Bo his moment here. What is he doing besides being in the chat? Like, just hanging out?
He's my driver. He's my driver. No, he's playing the Pro Tour events. He played this weekend, and he has a partial card. So
Mm-hmm.
he's the person I'm traveling with.
Well,
several
shout out, Bo.
events in the USA.
I don't know if he can hear us, but he's sitting there and he can
He can't
see us in
hear
the
you.
chat.
Oh,
I can hear
Bo,
like 10 seconds
Bo.
late.
10 seconds late.
Yeah. All right. So wait for it.
We'll do the
wait
10
for
second
it.
late
Hold
interview.
Hold on.
Awesome. Well, we're
Hey,
glad
that's
to
all right.
have you on.
Oh, I heard
Bo-
that already.
Bo finished in 88th place this week, so congrats to Bo.
She
Oh,
laughs.
yeah. They say congrats. Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, I know it's funny the way I said it. That is not intended to be a knock. It's awesome to be out there on tour.
You're just making fun of him.
That's all good.
Hey,
we
hey,
appreciate
We would
you.
never.
Cadence, it's just bulletin board material.
Yeah.
You've had some. We're giving him some.
It's true. It'll work for him too, I think.
All right.
Awesome. We appreciate you so much coming on, Cadence. Really, we really do. It's always busy for everyone on tour, especially on a Monday evening. So we thank you for your time. And I mean, I'm going to pick you again to pop, I think. But the problem here with our game is you're performing at a higher level now. And so your average of 13th, for you to pop, you have to like keep doing second. So I have to know.
Yeah, you gotta.
I have to know the event that you're gonna win or get second. So I gotta, if I'm to save you for one more pick this year, like which event do you think that, I mean, you won them all. Is there like a favorite event that I should wait for?
Okay, we gotta think about the ones where there's no Europeans. And they're all leaving at they aren't going to Discmania. So home company,
Dismania
Discmania.
Open.
Okay.
And I've never played that course before, but it looks fun.
All
And I
right.
guess they aren't at Idlewild either. And I played good at Idlewild 2 years ago.
There
So
you go.
those are the two.
Perfect.
So because we aren't actual sports betting, like nobody pays to play our game. We have nearly 1,500 users, but nobody pays to play. We just give away prizes just because we like the people who are playing. Would it be okay if I texted players and called them or like, hey, should I pick you this week or I need you to play bad so I can win? Like, that's not fair. It's
Ask
not.
him to play bad. That's off limits. Don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that.
So,
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna do anything, but there's nothing stopping you.
all right, cool. I'll be Cadence, like 1 through 10. How you feeling? Like,
Yeah, that could work. That could work.
okay, cool. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on so much. Again, thank you so much, and good success out there. And we think we're going to continue to see it. No pressure from us, and maybe we should just give you a little bit more bulletin board material. Like we'll just go out of our way to inspire you, maybe. So keep listening. Tell your dad to pass things along. I'm sure
Keep
he
that
will.
positive mindset. It's working for you. Really, congrats on a really strong year. Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace out. We'll talk to you again
Travel
another time.
safe. See you later.
That was funny. That was unscripted. Turn the camera to Bo and crash.
That was funny.
Our whole show is unscripted for the most part.
It's very few. Actually, there was a period where there was a few scripts with like ad reads, but like
Yeah.
besides that, we've never been
Doing
scripted.
a scripted ad read is so annoying sometimes, especially when you're talking Manscaped. It was very hard to do scripted ad reads for Manscaped.
Do
Wait,
you
I-
want
It was
to
like-
jingle mine?
It was
Oh.
like, dude, it was like some of our audience is 11 years old to where they're like, what are we talking about right now?
They loved
Dude,
it.
I wasn't there
What
for
are
the
we talking
Manscaped era.
about?
I wanted
No,
free
what-
cologne.
That was
I still have the
pre-Evan
cologne.
as well. Yeah, that was pre-Evan.
Dang it. I was
Yeah.
listening to that era, though. I was there listening,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, the good old days. So full of great interviews. We're getting close to the end. Did you all watch the match play? Let's not dive into it, but did you catch any of it?
I watched
unfortunately
Paul
did
and
not.
Ricky
Yeah.
because that was the most interesting one for me. it's bringing me back, and I wanted to see it, and didn't disappoint. Besides the fact that Paul didn't win, and I actually was rooting for that disappointed, but the match play didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
So does that mean the people who lost the first round, are they out?
Mm-mm.
Like
it's like
okay,
a
so
series,
it's like a round
if
robin?
you will. Yeah, it's kind of like a series. So Paul could keep winning and meet back again at the top.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's sweet. I heard good things about it. I mean,
It's
what did
more. It's
Ricky
more
win?
for the
Ricky
fans
won
too.
Yeah,
like
the
all
Pro Tour
around.
also. Yeah, the Pro Tour also did a lot of really good media. Actually, all of the videos that I watched about match play were from the Disc Golf Pro Tour's Instagram page.
Yeah.
So they did great with it.
So just for those who didn't get to follow and are curious, Gannon beat AB. Chris Dickerson beat Luke Humphreys. Ricky beat Paul, as Matt mentioned. I think it went all the way to the 18th hole for that. And then Matty O beat Ezra Aderhold. And then in FPO, you've got Owen beat Cat Merch. Ella Hansen beat Holyn, which is fun just because they're good friends. And we just
I was
talked
going
about
to say the
that.
best friend rivalry.
Yeah. And then Ali Smith beat Deanne Carey, and Katrina Allen beat Eliezra Midling. So
Wow.
just thought we'd at least mention that event, because I don't think we're talking about it a lot because it's kind of not part of the core tour, but I actually think the match play stuff is awesome. So just wanted to at least kind of acknowledge those results and see what happens as they continue to play.
Jumping back a little bit, who gets third place in FPO for best season? Is it Silva or is it Ella?
I guess I'd have to look, but I feel like
Do you
it's
kind of
Ella.
give the nod to Ella because she won an event?
You would have to, right?
I feel like we always just talk about wins, and she's got the win. But yeah, I would have to actually look at the numbers legitimately. But I
Sixth,
feel like right after
13th,
Rip, you can-
4th, 2nd. That's Silva. 6th, 13th, 4th, 2nd. And then you go to Ella. First, you feel like already okay, but then you go 4th, 9th, 7th, 3rd. So it's kind of like, obviously that win is a big deal. If you finished
4th,
out
9th, 7th, 3rd.
Yeah.
So all top 10s? Oh, yeah. It's Ella by a mile then with the win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think Ella's having a really good season.
Yeah.
Like she's not below the radar because like you can't be with a win, but like it kind of feels like maybe we're not talking about her enough, but I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was dabbling in pop drop lock picks, and this is jumping ahead a bit. And I don't want to give them away because Ben's going to be out there and he's going to do some intel before he submits his picks. But there's it's going to be interesting. This is going to be played. This isn't the total like preview to the event because we'll be on next week as well. But it's going to be played at where OTB Open, Swenson Park, old golf course, or a golf course modified and designed into a disc golf course. There's going to be some interesting storylines coming out of that one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Holyn won it. But Kristen's going to be there.
Or Ella.
Or Silva. Or Missy Gannon.
Wow,
hey,
right.
big money
Well,
Missy.
okay,
Champions
you're
Cup.
saying Missy, I know, so big money, maybe
Yeah,
that's where
big
it'll come
money.
out. But like
Yeah.
Missy is like underperforming this year.
She is. Yeah.
Not a lot though, because if she
No,
gets a win,
she hasn't fallen off.
We say
but, like,
underperforming because she hasn't gotten a win yet.
That's what I was going to say. If she had
that's
a
who we
win,
know Missy as, right? Like she's good to pop off, those
win.
events. She gets
Exactly.
some huge wins out. Yeah. And she hasn't done that yet, out of 6 events that we've played. So it's kind of like, where's Missy? But I mean, this is no time to sound the alarm.
no.
I think, especially we got.
It's too early to sound
big
an alarm
money.
for
Yes.
anybody
For
unless
anyone.
they've completely
Yeah.
fallen off, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
5 events in, but it is interesting to be like, yeah, which names did we think we might be talking about that haven't really shown up?
Yeah.
I'd have to look down the list. I don't have those names for me now, but it's like sometimes it's funny. You just follow the news storylines, and then sometimes you scroll down right a leaderboard, and you're like, wow. How have we not been talking about this person? They kind of fly below the radar for the wrong reason.
Emily Weatherman.
Yeah, there's an example, right? Rookie of the year has a win.
Big bag
People
change
probably
in the
expected,
offseason.
right? Like, yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
like, actually, she's
Yeah.
probably a lot further down the leaderboard than you might actually think.
I think on the other side, we talk about Paul every week, right? But at the same time, I don't think we're talking how much of a difference last year is compared to this year.
Oh,
He hasn't gotten a
huge.
win yet, He hasn't gotten a win yet, but
Oh, totally.
how many league cards has he been on that final round? And he's been in contention at so
All of
many
them.
events already. Like literally, we are seeing Paul Macbeth on coverage every single event right now.
And I'm
which
convinced, to
I'm
Gannon's
biased, don't
point,
get me wrong, but
and Paul, I didn't text you to ask you this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm convinced he would have more second place finishes if he cared to get second place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced some of these third and fourths are happening, and even maybe a seventh, because he's just like, I'm just trying to win.
going gun ho.
Yeah, because I feel like, dude,
Like
you could walk in
throwing
some of
OB
those second places,
Yeah.
I feel like.
Like double bogeying the last hole at Music City Open,
Right.
little things like that, to where it's like, man, just take that par, maybe get that birdie, then it's like
I
they're
know.
second place. But at the same time, like, we don't care unless Paul wins, right? In the sense, and he's kind of the same way mentality wise. He's like, he wants to win. We want Paul to win, and but it is awesome. And then same thing, seeing Ricky, lead card over at the Pre-Play Open, and then lead card over at this event. So we just talked about Ricky last week. Is he underperforming with the new bag switch and everything like that? And same thing, we're only 6 events into the season, 6 or 7 events, whatever it is. And but this was another great event by Ricky Wysocki. So we still got those OGs, kind of like those top dogs, and then we still have the young guns kind of coming up. And it's tough to beat Gannon right now. Nicholas has been playing great, and so it's it's been exciting in both divisions. Been very exciting. A lot of parity. Which has been great.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So we have a off weekend this weekend, right? As everybody preps for Champions Cup.
Correct. Ben's traveling west to start his on-tour
And Ben,
experience.
you literally picked the worst event to start your tour on, like the
Dude,
furthest drive
I
possible. Awesome event. Don't get me wrong. Awesome event. And I'm super excited for it. Don't get me wrong. Not a huge fan. Oh, actually, did we ever talk about this Champions Cup? I think we did last week. In 2026 is going to Lynchburg,
Yeah, we
Virginia.
mentioned it last week.
We did mention it last week, right? Yeah.
Yes,
so
we did.
we're kind of like going to Swenson Park for one round out in Stockton, California. Excuse me, 1 year out in Stockton, California.
Yep.
I'm not a super golf course person. Don't care for it, but at the same time, it is a major. I am going to be glued to the TV watching it. I'm excited for it just in that sense. And I know Sean Jack and his team out there do an absolutely incredible job. So shout out to them. And first major of the year. This is, the start of the Grand Slam season, right? Whoever wins this event are the only ones that have a chance for a Grand Slam. So it's pretty awesome. Definitely excited for Pop Drop Lock that week. And
So
good time to be a disc golf fan.
how much did we get wrong? How much did we get right? You're going to let us know in the comments, I'm sure. But I also am directly asking Harry Chase and Paul Krantz how much we got wrong and right. Friends of the show, friends of mine, out there on tour, grinding in every week, trying to get it done. Shout out to them. Most notably, Paul Krantz having the best season so far. Like just,
Kansas City.
when I say best season, I just mean
Kansas
look what he's
That's
doing.
funny.
Then you have Harry, who was on our interview last week. Paul and Harry.
Both of them.
And
Henry
remember,
Cash.
I'm like, Harry, what's wrong, man? Are you not nervous? He's like, I'm not nervous. I'm like, you got to get nervous. I sent him a text. I'm like, be nervous, bro. It's going to help you. Long story short, wasn't my inspiration, but he did it. 11th place on the Pro Tour. That is awesome.
Nasty.
Harry
Yeah.
Chase, Paul Kranz, Casey White. We almost needed a tracker for them just to like those.
I said that at the
because those are our
beginning of the
guys.
year. I
Yeah,
know. I
those are
gotta
our
just
guys.
put it up.
Casey throwing it in on hole 1, the first round, like
Yeah.
261 feet or something, standstill, just dead centered. It was awesome.
So if you had to guess out of Harry Chase, Paul Kranz, and Casey White, who is having the better season? Again, asking
Paul
that question.
Yeah,
Kranz.
Paul Kranz.
No question.
Yeah,
No
doesn't
question.
this? What did he just get at Kansas City? I know Harry got 11th, right? And
Like,
then
he got
Paul
like
Kranz
17th
got
or something.
19th. He was going in
19th.
tied with Paul. I mean Harry, but 19th, so
Yeah.
top 20.
so he's what 17th in the DGP leaderboards. Like this actually might have jumped him up maybe a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
So
I asked
Yeah,
that because
awesome season.
I wanted you guys to answer it, but I know the answer. Obviously, it's Paul Kranz. Dudes, it's awesome. I'll just leave it at that. And they're on a long trip right now. I don't know where they're at, but they're on a long trip. They wanted us to do a 6-hour show, as I understood
we
it.
killed 2 hours of their
Yeah.
drive.
Just re-listen to it and make fun of us. Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, so it's been mentioned, and maybe this is part of our send-off, but Ben, just make it crystal clear. So you're literally leaving on Wednesday to drive west from Massachusetts all the way to California, and you're going to be on the tour, right? I just think it's fun for the fans to hear that's
on the tour, filming for Gannon, just basically being his videographer, editor, YouTube manager. We're gonna make sure he gets a lot more content up. Because he's the number one player in the world, and I think the people need to see kind of like what it takes to be that and the behind the scenes. I think it's going to be super entertaining and awesome for just fans. And is stoked about that too. That's why he brought me on. He realized he needs to start kind of putting himself out there more, and I'm excited to kind of like take that next step.
Dude, your video quality has been absolute royal stinky poo tonight, though, so I hope the Starlink is better.
Okay.
But seriously, does anybody else disagree? Like, he's way worse than Minecraft or anything else tonight. Like, it's just been bad.
Really? You guys have been blurry this whole time.
So you have too. We can barely see you.
Wow. On YouTube, though, Ben, you're a little blurry, and that's where I kind of judge it.
Okay.
But anyways.
Oh yeah, right now super blurry. Jeez Louise, why is that?
Who knows? But you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Starlink, right, bro? Starlink. Let's go.
Starlink.
And you have a dog. So. That's a new wife, dog.
And I got a dog.
Tour. Guys, we're gonna keep bringing it. Ben's gonna be out there. He's gonna get us the best interviews. No pressure, Ben. You'll be out there doing it. So.
Ben, when you're out there, when Gannon needs a security guard, you gotta call up my cousin. Hire him full time to be a security guard.
I would love to get James out here if I had a job.
You gotta bring him out to an event. So,
all right, let's close it out.
Anyways, everybody, thank you for tuning on this wonderful Monday night of Staggered Stance. We are super excited to bring you disc golf news every single week and talk tournament recaps and kind of get some insight from all the awesome players that are able to join the show. Shout out to Titan Disc Golf and Hooligan Discs for being a massive part of why we do this show and help bringing us every single week to keep going and going and going. So shout out to all of you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to go to TitanDiscGolf.com and HooliganDiscs.com. Use our code Staggered Stance over at Titan Disc Golf for 10% off your order. Play Pop Drop Lock every single week. Tell someone you love them. We'll catch you guys all in the next one.
That's right, everybody. We'll see you out there. This has been awesome so far. Play Pop Drop Lock. It's getting exciting. We appreciate it. Peace out, everybody.
Yeah.